Hi there, you all. Welcome to Balsamic Moon Tarot. This is my first video. I am going to do 3 readings, general readings. What is a message from your guides at this time? And I will be selecting 3 cards from this deck, the Tarot of 1001 Nights, so that you can select the card that resonates with you, and we will do your reading from there. Okay, let's go ahead and shuffle. This is actually my first time using this deck. I got this specifically for these collective readings, and I'm really excited to use this deck already. I feel very inspired by it. The imagery does not closely track the Rider-Waite deck and meanings, so I am going to read this intuitively, which I basically do all the time anyway. So let's go ahead and get 3 cards. Okay, so I have the first one. Also, I do not read reversals at all, so that's another thing to know about these readings going forward. What is going to be the second piles card? Okay. Okay. We have Temperance, Queen of Wands, and the Magician. How beautiful. Awesome. So pick the card that resonates with you most strongly now, and then continue to your reading. Pile 1 is Temperance, pile 2 is Queen of Wands, and pile 3 is the Magician. Hello, pile 1. I have your card, your first card here, the Temperance card, and I just want to give a close-up of it. We see a woman riding on the shoulders of a winged being, an angel or a divinity here, and you also see this beautiful islandscape, seascape with beautiful azure waters, very tranquil blue waters surrounding these small islands, as well as fluffy clouds here. So it's a very beautiful scene. I already feel elevated and peaceful just by looking at this artwork here. So let's go ahead and put this down, and I'm going to shuffle through a bunch of decks to get 1 card from each deck to give you your reading. What is the message from your guides at this time? What is the message for pile 1 at this time? This is just the shuffling phase. I won't reveal the cards yet. You can feel free to skip ahead to the reading itself. But I do feel like, at least for my first time doing this, that it would be good to allow footage of my shuffling so that you get a feel for my energy and intuitively connect with me and your guides through me. What is the message for pile 1? What is the message for pile 1 at this time? once again, I do not read reversals. So if I turn the card over and it is reversed, I will just turn it back right side up. This is also a new deck, Visionary Ching, which I'm excited to use. Okay, so now we have all your cards, pile number 1. We have the 9 of Swords, the Hanged Man, Death, Nine of Cups, 6 of Swords, beautiful, and splitting apart. I'm just going to pause so that I can read the description for splitting apart, which is hexagram number 23. Okay, now let me move these cards so that they're all visible here. Okay, so this is quite a clear message to me. Pile number 1. First of all, I want to say, sending much love to you, sending much warmth. From this message, I can tell that you have just gone through or are currently going through a very difficult time with uncertainty and anxiety. I want to tell you that your guides want to, the message from your guides is clear here, that your worries are, what you're worrying about is basically not grounded in what is really happening around you. Even though you are frightened and you're scared, there's so much good coming to you that you just cannot see right now because of the anxiety and the fear that you're experiencing. And you're sort of thinking about worst case scenario, but your guides want to remind you that at this time of uncertainty, growth, and change, that you can also imagine the best case scenario, and that when you do this, you will come to a better place, a more peaceful place mentally that will help you through these changes. So now I'm going to delve into what these changes are about for you. The first card is Temperance. So again, the first message, the first indication of this message is you're being held aloft here. You're safe here. You're traveling through. Let me just see if this can focus here. Okay, so it can be so scary to go through this change that you're going through, because you are now riding way above the ground, right? So it's like you feel ungrounded. You're afraid of falling from this height. You feel like you've been perhaps propelled into a position that you are unprepared for. So it's possible that the change you're going through is a career, something related to your career, your responsibilities, feeling like all of a sudden you have tremendous new power as well as responsibility. Being in this position where you have information is also what I'm getting. You have a lot of information that other people don't have. You're privy to a lot. You have a perspective that other people, or the people you're working with, or the people you're responsible for, they don't have that same perspective, and it can be quite scary, but it can also be exhilarating. I think right now you're not feeling very exhilarated, you're not feeling very thrilled by it, but you will very shortly. It's just around the corner, that sense of satisfaction and realizing like, wow, I actually have what I was wishing for. So this 9 of Cups showing the wish fulfillment here. And as you can see, the 9 of Swords and the 9 of Cups here being you know, the Nine of Swords here and then the Nine of Cups right below it, with this Temperance shows me that there is an emotional roller coaster as well. Some days might be better, other days might be worse, where you're just kind of going through the processing of this new reality for you, which is very understandable. It looks like the shift is quite big, but with your guides and this Temperance card, you know, there is this message that the changes have actually been brewing for a long time, and you've been prepared. You have been preparing for this moment, whether consciously or unconsciously, whether it's been subtle and slow or you know, full of intention. You have been preparing for this moment for quite a while. So the message from your guides is also that you know what to do here. You are ready. Don't fear this moment, because your instincts and your intuition will kick in and help guide you through this. Just like how if you imagine learning, realizing that you have the ability to fly, that eventually, you know, very quickly you just feel like, oh wow, I was actually meant to do this all along. I was meant to fly. If you can imagine yourself as this winged creature, right? Now, let's look at these other cards, because there's a lot going on here. We have the Hangman and we have the Death card. Okay, and these are very stark depictions of these two major arcana. With the Hangman and the Death card together here, I'm actually sensing here that this change is coming after quite a long time of waiting. And once you get past the shock, in a sense, like, oh wow, this is really happening, once you get past that sort of sense of surprise, it will feel like a relief. It does feel like a new day is dawning for you. And you know, your guides are telling you, they are affirming for you that what you have been through has been so tremendously difficult that you may have forgotten just how difficult this whole process has been. You may have gotten sort of inured to the pressures or the stressors that you have been under in this process. So this change feels actually quite relieving to me. With the Temperance again, your guides are saying you are safe, you are protected through this change. It may not always feel that way, but if you feel scared, if you feel anxious, you know, go within and go deep and get to this Nine of Cups here, which is your acceptance. There's a part of you that is incredibly spiritual and can truly accept the present moment and feel gratitude for, you've been this way for a very long time. You're the kind of person who has, no matter what you've been through, you've been able to find that silver lining. I think that that side of you has come under pressure recently. But this is such an ingrained part of you, deeply ingrained in you, that your guides are really just reminding you, remember who you are. You can find the light in any darkness, right? You can find the silver lining of any scenario, situation. And so this big change is coming because it has come about because you have such an ability here to be that person that now taking on this bigger responsibility, or having a role that makes you sort of a guide for others, a guide through this darkness for others, is what's occurring here now. So I'm actually getting there are multiple threads in this big shift. There is a a role you're taking on. There's a responsibility you're taking on, and it is giving you a certain privilege, a certain perspective, or certain access to information that a lot of people don't have. So I do see a lot of privilege in this new role. I see a lot of responsibility in this new role. With the Six of Swords, I see that you are the person in this boat that is guiding others through safety, that is helping others navigate their own scary change, the stormy waters, helping them to get to smoother waters ahead. Now, the splitting apart is referencing, a time of a change that can feel quite painful. This card, that when I read the description, it made me think of how we can fear change to the point that we lose touch with the present moment. We can fear change to the point that we kind of project more onto what's happening than really is. So I think the splitting apart is both something you have felt personally, like you have felt a somewhat of a crisis where you have thought very negatively, like, oh, nothing good is going to come of this, everything's ruined. I also feel that this is reflected in the people around you, in your surroundings, and that your guides are telling you your special talent of finding the silver lining, of finding the light in a dark time. Your special talent is needed at this time. And it is because you have this gift, this talent, this is your saving grace here. So in other words, what will help you get through the change, or the scariness of this change, is remembering that others look to you, is remembering that your energy, your positivity helps others. You're not alone in this. Not only will, it might sound like I'm saying, oh, you're responsible for other people, like think of others and don't think about yourself. Actually, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that this is your bliss. This is something that genuinely gives you joy and contentment, is to really feel in sync spiritually with that inner peace, and then let that flow outward. Like it brightens your life up to imagine all the joy that you can bring into other people's lives, even on a daily basis, even in a very small, subtle way, or quote unquote small. But I really feel that you've been doing this all your life, and now you have a big moment where you're lifted up, you're being elevated into a position that gives you more power, more privilege. And instead of being afraid or even feeling guilty for this change in your life, embrace it. Embrace it, because your guides are saying you deserve it. You deserve, you are meant to be in this new role, in this new position. It is a change in identity. It is definitely going to give you a perspective that makes you feel like you're entering a whole new phase in your life. You're closing a chapter and you're entering a new one. But the shock is going to dissipate very quickly. The shock of this change is going to dissipate very quickly when you realize it resonates. It resonates so strongly with where you are in your heart. And you'll quickly become very creative and imaginative with what you can do in this new role as well. So I hope that all made sense to you. This is quite an intense reading. I was not, it's so interesting how the messages come through. I can't anticipate the message until it arrives, and yet I really feel, the more I spend with this energy, I really feel that you needed to hear this at this time. You needed to hear that this is exactly where you're meant to be, that there's nothing, that the only thing, the scariest thing about this is what you are imagining. But the reality of it, the more you ground yourself, the more you pay attention to that present moment of this change, and just embrace this present moment, accept the reality of this change, the more elated you're going to feel. Yeah, so a very exciting time. You're still going to go through some ups and downs. So I hope this message at least helps you navigate to the ups and away from the downs much more smoothly, much more easily. Don't spend your time dwelling on the past or what you think, wondering why me, why did this happen, or it was always meant to happen, and it's been a long time coming, but it's going to offer tremendous change and rebirth for you. Okay, thank you, pile number 1. Thank you for joining me in this reading, and I wish you the best. Hello, pile number 2. This is the card you picked, the Queen of Wands. I am now going to shuffle through my decks to pick a card from each deck and give you your reading. Feel free to skip ahead to the reading itself. And yeah, let's start with the shuffling. What is the message for pile number 2? What is the message from pile number 2's guides? Let me start this. Okay, let's start with the shuffling. I won't reveal the cards just yet. What is the message for pile number 2? What is the message for pile number 2 from your guides? Getting a curious energy here. I'm getting someone who is very optimistic. Well, that's showing in the Queen of Wands, but I am feeling it as well. Feeling someone who is quite the life of the party, quite a social butterfly here. I don't know if that describes you or someone in your vicinity, but we shall see. Let me lift these cards more. There it is. And just so you know, I do not read reversals. So when I turn over the cards, I will just turn them right side up. Reversals don't take on any meaning for me in my readings. Okay, so let's see here. We have the Knight of Swords. We have the Eight of Cups. The Nine of Swords. This was also in pile number 1's reading. The Sun. Wow. The Fool. Incredible. And this is the Visionary I Ching Oracle. Wow, creative power. I'm just going to pause it here so that I can read the description for this hexagram number 1, creative power. I'll be right back. Okay, hello pile number 2. What a wonderful reading here. I am already getting a very strong message. Pile number 2, your guides want you to know that you are definitely a dreamer. You are a big dreamer. You have a vivid imagination and you have so much passion for these things you're imagining. I want, I'm not getting a specific sense that you are necessarily a creative person, like someone who paints or who writes, you know, someone who's doing things actively. I'm getting a strong sense that you're someone who has, and yet you have such a vivid imagination. I'm getting the sense that you are someone who really sees things very clearly in their mind, what they want to do, where they want to go. Like if you are decorating your apartment, you have a strong vision for that, how you want that to look. And so I think you're someone who's very in touch with your desires, and now you're entering a phase where you can manifest and not just in the sense of manifesting one idea, but really moving into this new chapter where everything in your life is going to be imbued with that creative power, with that creativity, with that vision, with that magical with I want to say exuberance even. Now we have here the Knight of Swords. It's interesting that the 3 cards here are quite different from the 3 cards below, and we can see here with the Sun and the Fool, 2 powerful major arcana is undergirding this spread here. So with the Knight of Swords, the 8 of Cups, and the 9 of Swords, what I'm seeing here, I feel that you know, maybe you have come under some personal attack. I feel that someone's words cut through to you, and they may not have even intentionally meant to insult you or disparage you, but something they said, I do feel that it was taken very personally for you. And it could even be something that's been sort of echoing in your head, reverberating through your head, particularly at night, or you know, when you have a quiet moment. And perhaps it's even spurned you to be distracted. Maybe maybe you and this person work together, and it's harder for you to work with them without thinking about those words they said. So I feel like something happened very recently that is it's just smarting. It's like a wound that has not fully been addressed or attended to, or or cleaned, when you have to clean a wound before it can heal properly. So I do feel like your guides are saying, it's okay. It's okay. What this person might have said is so meaningless. It does not need to take on any more meaning than it already has in your life. You can move past what they said because you've got something much more important, much grander, much bigger in your path here. And so the more energy or the more focus you put on what you think this person, what this person thinks of you or how that person made you feel, then the less attention you have to what's really important here. So I hope this is resonating, because that's a pretty specific message that I channeled. So maybe it does not resonate with all of you. If you are not resonating with, if this did not happen to you, if someone did not personally attack you or personally insult you recently, that made you sort of question yourself, if that doesn't resonate with you, that I'm getting a separate energy, which is that you are quite protective, you are quite defensive over this goal you have, over this vision, this idea you have. And it can be quite draining for you to constantly feel that you have to defend your idea or your goal here. So your guides are telling you that your perspective is where your power is right now. And if you can shift your perspective just a bit, you will see an entire vista open up for you. So the Queen of Wands is the card that you picked for this pile. So let's take another look at this beautiful card here from the deck Tarot of 1001 Nights. We see a lady here beautifully decked out in this fiery orange garment, in these robes that are just exquisite fabric. This is someone who has incredible taste. This is someone who really knows the finer things in life, and I'm getting very energetically, I'm getting here someone who immediately identifies something special. She immediately knows what is special. And I say she, I don't mean that you are a she. This Queen of Wands energy can be embodied by anyone of any gender. But the Queen is showing how that is an inner experience for you. This is your intuitive way of identifying truly special and magical things. I'm saying things. So I wonder if you are someone who has to do, if for example, if you're in retail, if you are the buyer, or if you are a designer, if you're a fashion designer, or if you're a fashion assistant, if you're someone who is, picking out swatches, like I feel like your talent is in really finding like those diamonds in the rough, that kind of energy. And so you naturally bring to people naturally gravitate towards you because your perspective is so expansive to them. Now, I want to point out the Sun and the Fool card and the creative power. I mean, I didn't even talk about this section yet, right? But like, look at what is undergirding your life right now. And I think you sense it so strongly. You do not doubt yourself. I think what your guides are saying is just that your focus, your perspective can shift just a little bit to ensure that you take the most advantage of this pivotal moment, to ensure that you have the biggest impact. I think that you're at a moment where if you shift your perspective a bit, become a bit more expansive and realize that, whatever this petty thing that someone said is, or whatever is a petty criteria that someone is, there's pettiness in your life. So if you can just put the small things in perspective and focus on, what is truly meaningful, what is truly purposeful to you, then it will all just feel so intuitive and effortless what the next steps are going forward. You have tremendous creative power for sure. This is not just something that you were born with. This is also something that you have developed over time just by virtue of being very consistent in following your visions and in being so imaginative. Again, the first impression I got is like how your imagination, you have such a vivid imagination, you can really see an outcome or see an ideal in your mind. And you may not have always been the person executing towards that ideal. So it's not necessarily that you're like a painter, for example, but I do feel that this is such an important part of your life. And so, again, the message from your guides, what I'm getting consistently here, whether or not someone has personally offended you or you're feeling insulted, whether or not that happened, the message from your guides is that there is something going on that is just petty and it's just taking up more energy from you than it deserves. And so your guides are asking you or reminding you to turn the focus towards this big vision you have, this grand vision you have. With the Fool and creative power here and the Sun, wow, it's so whatever you're going through is really exciting for you. And you feel so ready. You feel so ready to take it on. So this is just a big affirmation. This is a big affirmation that you have believed in yourself all along, and now you are going to take these concrete steps of really putting something, manifesting a vision. It's the very beginning stage for you. perhaps the start of a big new project for you. But again, the perspective is key here, especially at the onset. As you move forward, you're going to definitely take on more responsibility, and you are going to need stamina. So that is why your guides are saying that if you can adjust your perspective now, the rewards and the long-term impact will be tremendous. This Eight of Cups is making me think about emotional drainage, emotional energy that is being really, drained, or just going in. It's being wasted. I don't mean to tell you that this is something you're doing wrong. It just might be something that's happening that you're not aware of at this time. See how the Knight of Swords is turned away. So, and even the Nine of Swords is turned away. So I do think if you can be mindful where your emotional energy is spent, like is it being spent on, an argument with someone that is just not worth it. You're not going to change this person's mind, so why even argue with them? Is it being spent on that? Is it being spent on defending your vision, defending your work? Some people, again, or some situations don't need you to assert yourself. You can just do what you have to do and not spend energy in justifying it. These are just examples. I'm just trying to make it hopefully make the message a bit more clear here. You have tremendous creative potential, creative talent here, and when you realize, just if you don't already, I think you do, but when you just realize how big this, in the grand scheme of things, you are going to achieve what you want to achieve. So you might as well have fun doing it and not, make yourself miserable, kind of being distracted by small matters, petty matters. So that is your message for you, pile number 2. I hope this resonates. If it does, please press the like button, the subscribe button. This is the first reading I'm doing on YouTube. And I'm turning comments off until I get more of a community here going. I don't want to leave comments on just yet. So right now, if you want to leave feedback, please just select the like button or the subscribe button. Thank you. Best wishes for you, pile number 2. I'm really excited for what you're about to take on here. I think it's whatever you're working on here is just going to bring so much excitement into your life and into other people's lives. So congratulations. It really looks like you're in a beautiful, powerful moment in your life right now. Thank you, pile number 2. Hello, pile number 3. You have selected the Magician. Such a beautiful card. This man is flying through the sky. Looks like the magic carpet ride, right? Okay. So I'm going to shuffle through my decks and pick one card from each deck, and then I will give you a reading. I do not read reversals, just so you know. And I will not reveal the cards until the reading starts. So feel free to skip ahead if you want to just get to the reading. But I think at least for the first few videos, it's useful for me to show my shuffling so that you can tune into my energy, and hopefully that makes it easier for me to tune into yours and your guide's energy. What is the message for pile number 3 from your guides? What is the message for pile number 3? What is the message for pile number 3? Nope. Yes. What is the message for pile number 3? Okay, so I'm getting 2 cards there. I'll leave these 2 cards. And last but not least, we have the Visionary I Ching Oracle here. Ooh. I'm getting 2 cards here as well. It's interesting, of all the piles, you have 2 cards from 2 decks that want to come out. So let's go ahead and turn these over. King of Swords. Judgment. Wow. Ace of Wands. Beautiful. The Artist. Lovely. So this is the Ethereal Tarot deck, and it does have additional major arcana. It has the Artist as the 23rd major arcana. I love this card. You have the Emperor. Lovely. Wow, so much power in this reading here. 3 of Wands. Wow. Difficulty at the beginning. This is the 3rd hexagram. Water above, thunder below. From the Visionary I Ching Oracle cards. And I felt a second card. So I have this here. Hexagram 8 is holding together. Water above, earth below. I'm going to read the guidebook because this is a new deck for me. I'm going to read the guidebook very quickly and then I'll continue with the reading. Okay, thank you. Pile number 3. I'm just going to move these over so that we see everything here. Wow, very strong message here, I think. Pile number 3, your guides are affirming very clearly, very strongly that you have impeccable judgment. You have impeccable powers of analysis. Your perceptions are very clear. And I think that the clarity that you have, the reason why your guides want to tell you this, is that you really need to make most of this time when you have clarity. You are entering a phase. The next chapter is going to bring something that is going to have tremendous impact, long-term impact in your life. And it is going to give you a lot of, you're going to be very responsible. You're going to have additional responsibilities here. Perhaps you're even going to be responsible for resources that you have not had in the past. So, for example, you might get a promotion at work that means you are overseeing a team, and now you're responsible for other people when you didn't have this responsibility before. Okay, so it means an increase. I'm not saying specifically that this is going to happen to you, because that's quite specific. But I am saying that in whatever you're going through in your life that requires this clarity and requires this ability to analyze and even be strategic, plan ahead, take time, schedules into account, take lots of information into account, parse that information. Whatever is going on in your life that requires this is going to lead to an expansion of your role. So again, it could be a job promotion, but it could be something else, such as, let's say you're a parent. Let's say you are someone who is thinking about having a child. And so your ability right now to learn about the healthcare system, for example, is going to impact your, not just your decision to be a parent, but even the parenting itself, right? The responsibility itself. You're going to draw on the information and the facts you unearth at this time. And I say unearth because with the Judgment and the Ace of Wands here, so much is being revealed. So much is being revealed as a result of your powers of your mental prowess and your powers of investigation, your power of, again, discernment. Here we have the Magician card. You were drawn to this Magician card. So I think that intuitively you do know that so much is about to happen, that because of choices you made, because of an intention you have, so much is about to unfold. Because you want it to be that way. You want to take on this new phase in your life. You want to take on this expansion and this increased role. I also want to point out, though, that with the Artist, so it's interesting, I'm actually getting a contrast in energies here with the Artist and the Emperor and these other cards here. And I'm getting the sense that you have felt for perhaps even much of your life, you've felt that you are a very sensitive person who can perceive a lot, who can observe a lot, and yet was not taken so seriously in that sense. No one really validated this side of you, how perceptive you are, how talented you are at grasping the truth and the reality of a situation. I think you've been someone who's an observer for a large part of your life, even someone who perhaps has a very rich inner life, someone who's an introvert. And now you're entering a phase where you don't want to be an introvert anymore. You want to talk, and you want people to listen, and you want that you have strong ground to stand on. You have done your research. You have learned the facts. You have done all the studying that needs to be done in this field, in this specialty of knowledge that you have, in this expertise. So you are in a phase in your life where you're just not, you're not going to accept any less than that kind of respect, okay? So that is what I'm getting from this reading so far. Your guides are affirming for you that you are in a time in your life where your abilities, your capabilities, your capacity is incredibly strong and incredibly deep. You can take on this new role, these new responsibilities. Now, we have the last two decks that show two cards coming together, and I do think there's a message within this that is a deeper message within this, or a more specific message within this. And it is about how when we start something new, or when we do anything new, when we take on a big project or a big responsibility, the actions and the decisions in the beginning are so important, because it's almost like you are taking the building blocks. You're deciding the building blocks for what this new phase in your life is. So don't be rash. Don't be too sure of yourself and what you're doing. Take other people's opinions into mind. And this does not mean that you need to get into an argument with someone and to discuss a matter with someone whose opinion you don't value. No, it means talk to people whose opinions you do value. Difficulty at the beginning and then holding together. So it can be difficult when you start something, it hasn't come into that flow of being, the process is just, when you start something, it doesn't have that momentum yet, right? So difficulty at the beginning, I do see that you're trying to solve this problem of getting the right pieces together so that you can then move full steam ahead. You're not there yet. You are on the verge of it. You've definitely done a lot of legwork here with this Emperor and the Three of Wands, but there is more. There's some kind of scalability issue here, and you want to make what you're working on scalable. You want it to be so much bigger, take on more capacity than it currently has. This could be a business operation. For perhaps you're self-employed, you have a business, and you're starting to see that if you invest correctly, right? If you make smart investments, then your business can be so much more successful or so much more efficient even than it ever has been. But it is a matter of scale. And so therefore, again, when you take on that expansion, it's the decisions you make in the beginning that are so important to pay attention to. So the message from your guides is to actually consult experts. So in the fields, you have quite a specialized point of view here. So you need to take in other experts' opinions right now in this endeavor that you're about to go on. With the artists, I think that you can, you're at the helm of this project and it is definitely your vision, but there is some humility needed in knowing that no matter how strongly or clearly you see a vision, there are other perspectives, other tips, advice that people can give that will help you manifest the vision. I hope that makes sense to you, because I am getting a sense of someone here who's very headstrong, someone who, again, you know that you've done so much work that you don't question the validity of your plan. But again, there's only so much planning that we can do. And there are other people who, for whatever reason, they've had an experience that is relevant to your experience. It may not be immediately, it may not be